Our first speaker, Andrea Perego, comes from the European Commission Joint Research Center. He's involved in the promotion of cross-domain data and service interoperability, as well as the INSPIRE directive, and he's a member of the design team for the core location vocabulary and GeoDCAT-AP. He is now going to present us GeoDCAT-AP. Andrea, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks a lot. So, good morning, everyone. I will just give a very short introduction to GeoDCAT-AP for those of you who are not aware or familiar with it. So, you can go to the next slide already. So, the GeoDCAT-AP is basically an extension to the DCAT application profile for data person in Europe, which is a metadata profile based on the W3C recommendation data catalog vocabulary. It has been developed in the framework of the ISA Programme as DCAT-AP, actually. So the purpose of GeoDCAT-AP is to provide a DCAT-AP compliant representation of the INSPIRE metadata and the subset of metadata elements in the core profile of ISO 19115, not the current latest version of the standard, but the previous one, so the one published in 2003. Next slide, please. Okay, so just quickly, in case any of you is not aware of INSPIRE. INSPIRE is a directive of the European Union aiming to establish a cross-border data infrastructure for sharing across member states data that are relevant for environmental policies. So this work is something that started nearly 10 years ago and is being implemented. The deadline is 2020, actually, and involves a number of stakeholders, mainly, of course, the direct stakeholders are public administrations, but also the private sector, the industry, and also the academia. Both of them are involved because, for instance, the industry is providing support to the public administrations with tooling, but also for collecting and processing data, and similar role is played also by the academia. And basically, since it is a directive, is a legal act and is complemented by other legal acts defining implementing rules. And in addition to this, there are also a number of technical guidelines describing exactly how things should be done. The other thing to be taken into account in this context is that the scope of INSPIRE is cross-sector. You can see on the slide the number of themes, so the thematic areas covered by the INSPIRE directive. So it is basically, most of this is about geospatial information, but not necessarily just that. So we can go to the next slide now. In this context, basically, the technologies used is the ones which are used worldwide. All the people working in the geospatial domain in the different communities, from the public sector to the academia to the private sector, are using the same set of standards and tools, basically. These technologies are very well consolidated, and there are a number of tools that are widely supporting it. So this is also the standards. These tools are also part of the data management workflow. So it's something that, of course, cannot be easily changed. So next slide. The reason to work on GeoDCAT-AP was that in the last years there was a trend in Europe, but not only Europe, to try to put together data coming from different sectors of the public administration, especially in relation to the open data trend. So there was a trend to integrate, for instance, in catalogs, data that were also coming from Inspire and the geospatial domain. The point is that in the, let's say, open data portals or multi-purpose or general purpose data catalogs, the type of technologies were completely different. So what happened is that in many cases, in many organizations across Europe, people started to basically try to convert what we have, at least in terms of metadata, from the Inspire infrastructure and in general geospatial catalogs into the format, let's say, used by the general purpose data catalogs. And in that period, actually, in Europe, the reference standard was actually DCAT-AP. So there were many initiatives to convert Inspire and geospatial metadata into DCAT-AP or the reference standard, the W3C one, so DCAT. The result was that basically every organization was doing this conversion, transformation in different ways, and the result was not consistent. So this is why GeoDCAT-AP, the work on GeoDCAT-AP started, in order to provide an harmonized conversion mechanism from geospatial Inspire metadata into DCAT-AP. I think that we can move to the next slide. So this is an important slide because since Inspire is a legal act and is binding legislation for member states, it is important to make it clear that GeoDCAT-AP is not replacing what is defined in Inspire regulations and technical guidelines. It's just a way to provide an alternative representations of the metadata that are available through the Inspire infrastructures, and there is no, let's say, request or to have this implemented. Basically, it has been made for those organizations who wanted to also provide the geospatial metadata and Inspire metadata as DCAT-AP. Next slide, please. So the current status is that basically the version 1.0 was released in December 2015, and the work was done for when it was developed, the specification. In parallel, there was also work on the reference implementation. With reference implementation, in this case, what we mean is that the transformation rules from Inspire metadata and ISO metadata to DCAT-AP has been basically defined by using XML technology called XSLT, so XML typesheet transformations, and basically with this XSLT, it is possible to convert on the fly Inspire and ISO 19115 metadata records into GeoDCAT-AP. During the development process, we got also feedback about a number of third-party implementations that are documented also on the GeoDCAT platform of the ISA² Programme. There will be the links at the end of the presentation. The final thing is that doing this work, we learned a number of lessons, let's say, and also we identified a number of issues. So what has been done is to basically bring GeoDCAT-AP to the attention of the Open Geospatial Consortium and the World Wide Web Consortium to get further feedback, and also to highlight that there are some issues to be addressed, and maybe in the context of these standard bodies, they could have been addressed. Next slide, please. The reference implementation is also complemented with a couple of supporting tools which are more proof of concepts or demo to show how this transformation works. So this, what is called the GeoDCAT-AP API, is basically a web API that is just running this XSLT transformation on metadata records that are available through a catalog service. And just to show how it works, what you get out of it, it is also possible to get it in different serialization formats, and also as an HTML version of it with the metadata embedded in it. And the next one, which is more recent, in the next slide, is built on top of the GeoDCAT-AP API. It is actually another lightweight API to show how it is possible to expose a catalog service for the web. So let's say the standard catalogs used in the geospatial domain in a web-friendly way. So basically, through this API, you are able to expose in HTML what you get back from a CSW endpoint, which is usually XML. And also, it provides access to the metadata in different formats and serialization from the original one, but also on the GeoDCAT-AP one with the different RDF serializations. There's also support for HTTP content negotiation. So this work was done basically to show how it is possible to use GeoDCAT-AP on top of an existing geospatial catalog without changing basically what is in the back end, because this can be done on top of it. And also, it can be used to enable the harvesting of geospatial metadata and inspire metadata by catalog services that, or let's say catalogs and APIs that are able to understand, let's say, or are using DCAT-AP. I think that's it. In the last slide, there are just the links to the for additional information. And thanks for your attention. That's it.